It was a quiet afternoon in a small neighborhood. The sun was shining softly, and the birds were singing in the trees. Mrs. Grace, an elderly woman, was sitting on her front porch, enjoying the calm day. She loved to watch people passing by and sometimes talk to her neighbors, but today, something unusual was about to happen. Suddenly, Mrs. Grace saw a little girl running fast toward her house. The girl's face was full of fear, and tears were running down her cheeks. Her name was Lily. She looked very scared, almost like she was running away from something very bad. Mrs. Grace quickly stood up and called, "Beta, what happened? Why are you running like this?" But Lily did not stop. She ran straight to Mrs. Grace and held her hand tightly. She was shaking and breathing fast. It was clear she was very frightened. Mrs. Grace pulled Lily close and asked gently, "Tell me, dear, what is wrong? Why are you so scared?" Lily looked around nervously, as if she was afraid someone might hear her. Then, in a very soft and low voice, she whispered something in Mrs. Grace's ear. Mrs. Grace's eyes grew wide in shock. She never expected to hear such words from a little child. The words were so serious that Mrs. Grace's hands trembled. She quickly took out her phone and dialed 911. "Please send help quickly," she said calmly but with urgency in her voice. Lily held Mrs. Grace's hand tighter, looking for safety. She kept looking behind as if someone was following her. Mrs. Grace tried to comfort her by saying, "It's okay, you are safe now. I am here with you." As Mrs. Grace waited for the emergency services, she looked at Lily with concern. She wanted to know more about what had happened, but she also did not want to scare the girl even more. So she sat down with her on the porch and held her close. Lily finally began to speak in a small voice. "There is a man," she said. "He is very scary. He lives near my house. He does bad things. He told me to be quiet and never tell anyone." Her small hands clenched into fists. As she spoke, Mrs. Grace listened carefully. She had lived in this neighborhood for many years and had never heard of any trouble like this. But seeing Lily's fear, she knew this was serious. "Did he hurt you, Lily?" she asked softly. Lily nodded slowly. "Yes, I was playing outside. When he came near me, I ran away, but he tried to catch me." Tears started to flow down her cheeks again. "I don't want him to find me." Mrs. Grace hugged Lily tightly. "You are safe here. Nobody will hurt you now. We will make sure you get help." She gently wiped away Lily's tears. At that moment, the sound of sirens came closer. Mrs. Grace felt a little relief. Help was on the way, but she also felt a little worried. What if the police did not believe Lily? What if they thought she was lying or just scared? She knew sometimes grown-ups don't always listen to children. When the police arrived, Mrs. Grace led them to Lily. The little girl's hands were shaking as she pointed toward the direction of her home. Mrs. Grace watched carefully to see how the police would react. One officer looked at Lily and said, "Are you sure? We will check, but sometimes kids get scared for no reason." Mrs. Grace's heart sank. She did not like the way the officer spoke. It was not kind. Lily's eyes filled with more tears. She looked at Mrs. Grace for support. Mrs. Grace smiled at her and said, "We will find out the truth. Don't worry, Lily." As the officers started to walk toward the house Lily had pointed at, Mrs. Grace stayed close to her. The little girl was still scared but felt a little safer with Mrs. Grace by her side. Suddenly, Lily whispered again, "Please don't let him see me." Mrs. Grace nodded. "We will be careful." As the police approached the house, Mrs. Grace thought about what Lily had told her. She knew that sometimes people hide secrets that can hurt others. She prayed that the truth would come out soon and Lily would be safe forever. Lily sat quietly on the porch, holding Mrs. Grace's hand tightly. Her small heart was still beating fast, but she felt a little hope. She hoped this time someone would listen to her and help her get away from the scary man. Mrs. Grace looked at Lily and promised herself that she would protect this little girl, no matter what. The police car pulled up slowly in front of Mrs. Grace's small house. 2 officers stepped out, serious faces on them. Mrs. Grace stood up and walked toward them, holding Lily's trembling hand. "Thank you for coming," Mrs. Grace said softly. "This little girl needs help." One officer, named Officer Miller, knelt down to Lily's level. "Hi, Lily, can you tell me exactly what happened?" Lily looked at him with wide eyes, then glanced nervously behind, as if someone was watching. She whispered, "There is a man near my home. He's dangerous. He told me to be quiet. I'm scared." Officer Miller nodded, but his eyes showed doubt. "We will check the area, Lily. But sometimes kids get scared and imagine things." Mrs. Grace's heart sank. She could see that Lily was telling the truth. "Please believe her," Mrs. Grace said firmly. "She's very scared for a reason." The other officer, Officer Davis, didn't say much but looked around the quiet street. Everything seemed normal. No signs of trouble, no suspicious people in sight. Mrs. Grace noticed how calm the officers were. She wondered if they truly understood how serious this was. "Can you show us where this man lives, Lily?" Officer Miller asked. Lily nodded, wiping her tears. She pointed down the street to a small, old house with peeling paint and broken windows. "That's it," she said softly. "He stays there." The officers exchanged looks. Then Officer Davis spoke. "We will go there and check. Stay here." "Lily!" Mrs. Grace watched as the officers walked toward the house. She saw Lily's scared eyes follow them. Suddenly, Lily grabbed Mrs. Grace's hand tighter. "Please don't let him catch me," she whispered. Mrs. Grace nodded. "I promise we will protect you." The officers reached the house and knocked on the door. No answer. They knocked again, louder this time. Still, silence. Officer Miller said, "Maybe no one is home." But Officer Davis spotted something, a broken window on the side. He carefully looked inside. "There might be someone inside," he said. Mrs. Grace's heart beat faster. What if the man was really there? "Officer," Miller radioed for backup, saying, "We need more help at this address. Possible dangerous person inside." Lily shivered as she heard the radio call. Mrs. Grace wrapped her arm around her. "It's okay. Help is coming." But then, something strange happened. A car slowly drove by the street, and the driver stared hard at Mrs. Grace and Lily. Mrs. Grace felt a chill run down her spine. Who was that? Why did they look so interested? She looked at Lily. "Did you see that?" Lily nodded silently. The officers returned from the house. "No one was inside," Officer Davis said. "The place is empty." Mrs. Grace didn't believe. She looked closer at the house. Something was wrong, but what? Suddenly, Officer Miller received a phone call. He listened quietly and then said, "We need to talk inside." Mrs. Grace followed the officers into the house. Lily stayed close by. Inside, Officer Miller spoke low. "There are rumors about that house. Some say people went missing, but the police never found proof." Mrs. Grace's eyes widened. "So, the danger is real?" "Yes, but without evidence we can't act," Miller said. Mrs. Grace clenched her fists. How could they ignore a scared little girl's warning? She looked at Lily and said, "We will find a way to keep you safe. I promise." Just then, a loud knock came at the door. Mrs. Grace turned around. Standing there was a tall man in dark clothes, his eyes cold and hard. "Who are you?" Mrs. Grace asked, stepping protectively in front of Lily. The man smiled thinly. "Just someone who wants peace in this neighborhood." Mrs. Grace didn't trust him. Something about him made her skin crawl. Officer Davis stepped forward. "Sir, can we help you?" The man's smile faded. "No, thank you." He turned and walked away. But Mrs. Grace noticed he looked back once, watching them closely. She whispered, "To Lily, stay close to me." Lily nodded, but fear was still clear in her eyes. Mrs. Grace realized that this was only the beginning of a dangerous story. Someone wanted to hide the truth, and they would do anything to keep it secret. The tall man's shadow disappeared down the street, but Mrs. Grace's heart did not calm. She felt like something very wrong was happening in the neighborhood, something dangerous hidden in silence. She looked at Lily, whose eyes were still full of fear. "We need to find out who that man really is," Mrs. Grace said softly. You did the right thing by telling me. Lily nodded but stayed silent. She still held Mrs. Grace's hand tightly. Mrs. Grace decided to call her son, who worked at the city's legal office. He might help us, she thought. Her son was a kind man who believed in justice and truth. She dialed the number. After a few rings, her son answered. Mom, is everything okay? He asked.